The Browns made a huge move last week when they traded for Odell Beckham Jr., which gives Baker Mayfield one of the top receivers in football. But Beckham also brings baggage from New York, and he's been called out for his emotional outbursts in games. Baker was asked about that, and he can apparently relate. Take a listen.
You can say the same thing about me. You don't want to tame it. You just let them be themselves and make plays. You know what? That's who they are. When it comes down to it, the guys in that locker room, you know, you're going to love playing with them. And I know from Saquon and Sterling Shepard that I'm very close with, that I know exactly who OBJ is inside the locker room and who he is to his teammates. And that's the most important thing. Is people can have their, you know, attitudes and perspective on it, but he's himself, and he has his teammates back.
Okay, Shannon, will Baker be able to handle Odell better than Eli did?
No. Eli was a two-time MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Odell Beckham played for Tom Coughlin. In this era, probably the most strict disciplinarian as a head coach in all of football, and they could not control Odell Beckham. Locker room is not the issue. He says he knows Saquon. They came out the same year in the draft. Baker was 1, Saquon was 2. He played with Sterling Shepard. Skip, the locker room was never the issue with OBJ. It's once you get out of the locker room and get on the field, when he's not getting the ball. Therein lies the problem, what he's going to have. For me, Skip, when I look at guys that have had behavioral issues, they don't get the ball when they think they should. They're not getting enough balls to keep them happy. It's really never been the quarterback that kept them in check. It's always been the head coach. If you remember, Skip, T.O. and Donovan was lockstep and barrel. First year, that thing was special. 1,200 yards, 14 TDs. T.O. was first team All-Pro. And then somehow, some way, it soured. You know, T.O. said when he believed that it happened when Donovan in the Giants game. He came back to the hole and said, I was open, and Donovan told him to shut the bleep up. Donovan might have a different side of the equation, but who ultimately resolved this issue, Skip? Andy Reid. And he said, you got to go, bro. Send him home. That was the end of that. Coach Belichick. These guys come in with attitudes, and be it Corey Dillon, Randy Moss, whomever the player may be, Skip, Tom Brady ain't talking to them.
I don't know. He does. He goes out of his way to get to know the 53rd guy on the roster.
Yeah, he goes out of his way, Skip, but that behavior is what it is. If you know it's not going to be tolerated, Coach Belichick ain't going to put you left your ego wherever you came from. You didn't check it at the door. You left it at the locale where you came from. Therein lies the problem. See, when Odell started acting out the way he did, and Coach Coughlin, who had been a disciplinarian up until that point, didn't check him, okay, now what? So now you got Freddie Kitchens, Skip. This is his second year. This is really, he's the first-year head coach.
Yep.
Because Greg Williams was the interim head coach last year. Freddie took over the play calling on the offensive side of football. Now he's over everything. You think Freddie Kitchens is going to command that kind of respect?
I do not. No chance.
At the end of the day, Skip, we can say Baker. Hey, this is on Odell to fix and change his behavior. Because I'm not worried about when things are going really well. What happens when Odell thinks he should have got the ball and he goes somewhere else? What happens when they win the ball game, Skip, and he has 3 catches for 36 yards? What will be the reaction then? Because the locker room, Baker, isn't the issue. It's once you get on the field and he's not getting the opportunities that he believes he deserves. That's when the problem will arise.
You make a lot of good points, but I'm going to disagree with your takeaway on this.
Okay.
I just think Baker Mayfield has a much better chance of getting through to Odell than Eli ever had. I'm not sure Eli ever gets through to anybody because I've never figured what's going on in Eli's head at any given moment. Sometimes I don't even know if he knows where he is on the football field. He's football royalty. He's the youngest, and he grew up with a father and a big brother, actually 2 big brothers who are really good, but one who's all-time great.
Yep.
And he just thinks, I'm a Manning, so I can do this. This is the way it is. I won 2 Super Bowls. Who are you? and he just tunes everything out around him. He's above it all. He's aloof. He's disassociated from everything that's going on in the huddle because he's Eli Manning and you're not. Not that he's a diva, because he doesn't operate like a diva. He's just unattached. You know, there's no connection between Eli and the rest of the football team. Baker Mayfield is the flip side of that. And it was interesting that he starts off saying, you could say the same thing about me, because he's got a lot of Odell or T.O. in him. He's got gangster going on. He's got some diva going on. He's got big swagger. He's got big mouth because he backs it up. But you know how he operates? He operates sometimes almost like he's a wide receiver. To me, that's his body language, and his personality is more like wide receiver.
But what can Baker do that Odell can't? Baker has the ball in his hand.
He can decide.
65 times a game.
Okay, I got you.
And Odell is dependent.
But why did most people have issues and at least red flags about Baker going into the draft? It's because we got to see on video he's running from the cops in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And he's getting thrown up against a wall by one of the cops, right?
Yeah.
And it looked like he could have gotten hurt, man.
He could have.
Okay, so that's going on in this guy. This is the guy who he got crossways with Cliff Kingsbury and just said, okay, heck with you, I'm out. I'm going to Norman, where my father went. I'm just going up there. I'm just going to walk in and say, I'm here.
Right.
Can I try out for your team? That's who this guy is, right?
Yeah.
He goes and lives in the student dorm for a whole year by himself and goes and signs up on the bathroom door for the floor softball team. And they're like, who? Who's this guy? Is this that guy who played at Texas Tech? And he's like Babe Ruth of the OU intramural softball league. Okay? So that's what this guy has operating in him. And Odell and Sterling Shepard, who played with him the first year at Oklahoma, they get this, like they gravitate to him. We're about to talk about Johnny Manziel. He had the same thing going on. He just couldn't back it up because he went completely over the edge.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Walking into that door, who do you thinks they're a better player, Odell Beckham or Baker Mayfield? Do you think Odell Beckham?
I think it's a tie.
No. Do you think?
I do.
No. Okay, I'm saying. But do you think Odell Beckham thinks Baker Mayfield's a better player than him?
No.
Therein lies your problem.
Okay, do I think Odell is looking forward to playing with Baker? Yes, I do.
Oh, absolutely, because you and I both believe at this point, Baker Mayfield is a much better quarterback than Eli Manning.
Just much better.
You know,
and he's just much more fun to be around, fun to play with. The energy just goes up, man.
Yes.
You know, Odell is just, Eli's just Eli. He's just like vacant-eyed. It's like he just keeps doing the same thing he did 10 years ago. And you say, are you there, Eli? Like you want to just like slap him and say, are you awake?
But Skip, it's kind of like, and I'm sure, Jenny, people have told you what to expect when you was coming here and you're going to be working with Skip and I. You know, Skip is like this and Shannon's like that. But
no, they just said Skip is like this.
Yeah,
period. Period.
This is it.
Period.
But you had to get here and experience it for yourself. Someone tells you, man, I went to this restaurant last night. Man, the ambiance, the food. Ooh, Jenny, you got to try it.
Until you're in it.
But then I go there, I'm like, ambiance? This mess? Baker, someone can explain to you what someone's behavior might be like. But until you get an opportunity to experience for yourself, I played with guys, Skip, and I had an idea of what they were like because I could see the behavior that they exhibited on the sideline and on the field. But when we got them in the locker room, it was much, much worse.
Okay, I got it.
I'm not saying
it's going to help Baker a whole lot that he is close. He's like brother close with Saquon.
Yes.
Brother close.
Yes. But he ain't getting Saquon.
Okay.
He got Odell.
You're right about that. And by the way, Saquon's the flip side as far as he's a model citizen. You know, he's easy to play with.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Baker knows what's going to happen in the locker room. Maybe not in the huddle.
Right. The locker room, he was...
Because I'm pretty sure Sterling is saying, hey, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's got a good heart.
I believe it.
You know? Okay?
I believe it. He's good. Because in the locker room, they don't throw passes, Jenny. In the locker room, you can't catch touchdowns.
Everything works in the locker room?
That's the problem.
I got it. But remember, T.O. Donovan. Let's go back to that one. Donovan, how can I explain Donovan? A little more straight-laced, a little more sort of prone to siding with management, right?
Yes.
A little more conservative, conventional. with the grain instead of against the grain. Baker is completely against the grain. Baker will take on management. Baker had the you-know-whats to do that skit on John Dorsey, making fun of John Dorsey before he'd thrown one NFL pass back in training camp that we saw on Hard Knocks. That's